Hello.
Hi, Sue.
Hey.
How are you doing?
I'm doing good. This is a good chance for me to set up my screen here, make sure I'm looking okay.
You look great.
Oh, thank you.
You must not be sleeping. I mean, you're up all the time.
But I actually got a really good night of sleep last night, and that is that hasn't happened in a few weeks, so that was a good for you, just for you for today.
Thank you. Oh, that's awesome.
Oops, no, that's not what I meant to do. I meant to click my video thing out here, and okay, it's good. And I always have my hair and my earphones in the weird place, and I have to make sure that they're okay.
Oh, I didn't even see your earphones. You did good.
Yeah, well,
I see it now.
Yeah. And actually what I think I'm going to do is stand up. And I don't know if you got my slide.
I did. Yeah, I uploaded it.
Okay, and if need be, since Miki and I kind of want to do this as just us rather than a slide, I can show it from or share the thing from my angle. Hang on, something's wrong here.
Well, I'll probably switch after I do, the introduction of these are our 3 change agents for today.
Okay.
And then I'll bring up your slide, and then I don't know if you want me to leave it up for just a minute, and then or just you can tell
leave
me.
it up for a minute, and Miki's going to read from the chapter. I think that's how she wants to start, and then she's going to turn it over to me. So I don't know if we can have it up for while she's doing the reading, and then I'll give an overview.
Yeah.
And then we can.
So this will be the slide that's right before you all.
Okay, I'm looking at your emails.
Oh dear. Well, that's not helpful.
You have to make sure that when you open share that you click on the thing you want to share.
Yeah, that's what I ought to do. But sometimes I move other things onto that page that I want to share. But yeah, you're right. In this situation, it definitely would be.
I know it's like all these little tricks of Zoom that are like, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So this is the slide that's right before you all. So so I can switch to that and then hand it over to you and Miki.
Okay.
And then you can just tell me when you want me to stop sharing.
Okay, that's probably easiest way to do it, because we can grab the screen too, and like I could even do, oops, like if I stop you, and then I'm going to have my screen like that. So it's going to be the same. So we can do it either way. It's going to be there and ready in case somehow we have to come back to it or whatever. I don't think so, because I think that the way we've got it it's going to be smooth. Yesterday went really well, and I want to just live up to the standard. And also within the time, this is the thing, is like, I know that Miki and I could talk forever.
I know. Yeah. And that is one of the things I hate to cut people off, because there's so much good, information to share.
There is. It's so true.
But it is nice to stay within an hour, and especially when we have people from all different times.
Oh, and Miki is coming on at 5 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, that's right. I feel so bad. I'm so sorry that's so early for her.
Let me see if she's up and can come on. I feel so bad for her. Like, oh, what if she sleeps? I don't think I know her. She's like so disciplined. She wouldn't sleep through it or anything, but I just want to make sure she's all ready to go.
Yeah. Hi, Sahar. How are you?
Good. How are you? Hi.
Hi, Sahar.
Super excited.
Yeah. Your day going well?
Oh, yes. Yeah. It started off with a 3 hours doctor's appointment, but it's okay.
Oh, no. Oh, well, I'm hoping everything works out as what you were seeking. Yeah. Oops.
How are you, Professor Patty?
Good. I'm kind of wishing that I wasn't teaching 4 classes right now. I can't see
this. Oh my goodness. Wow. That's a lot.
Well, and then I feel guilty because I can't get the grading done on time, and they rightfully do need the feedback because they have an assignment due. It's like this whole guilt thing.
I hope you don't have 30 students in the class.
So we have one that's 27.
Oh my God.
That's a ton. Oh man, I remember having 36 in a, no, not 36, 26 in a graduate course in international business, or was it Master of International Management course, and I just couldn't manage it at all. It was like, no, I'm not doing this again.
Yeah. And I have one that's on ground and then two that are online. And it's always fascinating to me that, I don't know, there just seems to be a different vibe with the online learning students.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So
I don't know what's happening. Where are you? Let's see if I can.
let me share here. Make sure I have this going. So when do you start your new job?
March
Hi.
30.
Hi. Hang on a minute. I'm gonna mute myself.
When do you start?
I'm gonna start March 30th.
30th. That's right. Okay, the end of the month. Oh, it's gonna be exciting. Well, you won't be very far from me, so then we'll have to make sure we figure out a lunch date.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely. I might consider, at some point moving closer because the gas prices are making me nervous.
I know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Arlington's not far from Concord, and Arlington's there's lovely areas there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. Thinking about it.
I don't know how close you are to the water in Quincy. I think Quincy's a darling town.
Yeah.
Mickey is up and she's coming on.
All right, Mickey, you got your tea, or are you a coffee person?
Hello.
Hi.
Morning.
Ohayou gozaimasu.
Good morning. Hello.
Domo
Hello.
domo.
Hello. Thank you. Thank you.
You look beautiful. You do not look like it's 5 in the morning, and I'm guessing
Yeah, you
have
don't. My
homework,
gosh,
so-
you look
I-
fresh
I
and
have a
ready.
coffee here, so.
Oh, I like your mug cup. Kawaii. It's cute.
Marimeko. Yes. Thank
Yes,
you.
Marimeko. Yeah.
Ah,
I love this. I love this design. I know,
Yeah,
Patty,
that's
you
a
wear
great one.
Marimeko as well.
That's right.
Oh,
Hi,
okay.
Stephanie.
Oh, shoot.
Thank you.
How are you doing today?
Hi, everybody. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to peek in early, so hopefully, well, I'm in good company. So
Yes, you're welcome. You're very welcome to peek in early.
Hi, Stephanie. Very nice to see you.
hi, it's so nice to meet everybody. Yay.
Yeah.
Hello. Good morning from Japan.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, early. Hi, Stephanie. Hi there.
Hi.
Oh,
So I think Stephanie and I LinkedIn or I
Oh,
saw
good.
you online, and or at least I wrote about you, and also Lily is the other one.
Yes, Lily. Mhm.
I should put, hey,
And
there she is. Hi, Lily.
You-
Hi, everyone, and good
you all are-
afternoon from Cincinnati, Ohio.
Nice.
Good morning from Portland, Oregon.
good morning from Japan.
Yes.
Wow.
Early morning from Japan.
Way earlier.
Yes.
Yes.
Mm.
So April, it's a beautiful picture you have for your couch.
Hi, thank you. I didn't realize this was like a talking thing, so I'm at a coffee shop.
Oh, no worries, no worries. We'll start actually at 3:00. We're just all kind of,
Okay, great. Yeah, let me get my eyes.
we're just friendly
Might move
folks.
somewhere.
We're glad you're here. Stephanie, do you mind pronouncing Shakia's name for me? Sakia? Your
Your
person.
hero.
Your change agent.
Oh, Saskia Brewston.
Saskia.
Yeah, Saskia Brewston. Saskia Brewston. Okay, thank you. And Regina.
And also, hey, April, while you're at coffee shop.
And Lily, is Regina's last name Onu?
Oh no, yes,
Onu.
H-O, yeah.
Onu. Okay. And Naomi
Naomi.
again?
Naomi. Naomi. Naomi
Naomi.
is the American way to say it, and Naomi is how you'd say it in Japanese. Don't worry about it. We'll say it a lot of times. I wouldn't worry too much about it. You're doing great.
Naomi Osaka.
Yes.
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 All right. Well, usually I try to say things very quickly. That way, if I screw it up, missed it.
You probably nobody's gonna catch it. Yeah, just super quick.
I want to be respectful, but I also don't want to be totally gone.
What is the beeping in the background? Somebody's got beeping, and I noticed that the last time.
I do. My husband has
a
tech person, so everything goes through his computer.
Okay.
It could be my fire alarm as well.
Your fire alarm?
Yes.
Yes. Okay.
It's actually yours.
That's yours. That's what I thought. It's a fire alarm, and just take the batteries out.
Yes. No, I'll keep myself on mute.
I don't know how you stand that. I'm worried about you.
Honestly, like I'm at a point where I don't even notice that, and people are like, "What's the beeping?" And I'm like, "I don't hear nothing."
I guess there's good in that. Hello, Paola. How are you?
Hold on, here I am. Good. How about yourself?
Good. It's very good to see you.
Likewise. I'm in Italy now.
Oh, you are back in Italy. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Lovely.
in Italy. Yes, yeah. Though we are so close to the region war now, and it's very hard for us to witness. So we have the borders now being crossed pretty intensely. So we
are you? So you're starting to have,
yeah, because we are, and I am actually on the northeastern border of Italy.
Right.
Just right next to Slovenia. We
Ah,
already had 23,000 people coming.
really?
Yeah, 23,000 is a big number for Italy.
Yes.
That's huge. Thank you to Italy. And
Yeah,
the incredible generosity I'm seeing among all of my friends over in Germany and in Poland and everywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm actually driving to a crossing border in a border crossing in Poland next week, Friday. We'll be 3 people. We have packed Land Rover with especially feminine pads and diapers. You know, we're thinking of items that might be second thought for most organizations that are there. Toys for kids that can be useful for entertaining them, and a lot of paper and crayons and things like that. So this kind of items, and I'm setting up the geography of resources here in my home region, and also in another region that's very strong in hospitality now. It's Emilia Romagna, Bologna. So to match needs that I find there with potential resources or solutions for occasional situation. But it's absolutely heart-wrenching. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
And Ed, welcome. We're so glad to see you here. Ed Powers, my colleague here at Northeastern.
Hi, everyone.
Hi, and my colleague Carolyn Rifle. Hi, Carolyn.
Hi, Carolyn. Glad that you're here. April, it's nice that you can be outside and it's not too bad then, huh?
Hopefully, I'm like next to the highway, so if I do talk and you hear cars, I'm like sorry. And I think they're playing like really lovely coffee shop music, so I will choose when to speak sparingly, but hopefully I will share. Awesome.
Well, thank you. Thank you for being here. So thrilled to have you. So we had about 20 registering. Hi, Michael. It's nice to see you joining us. So I think what I'll do is just give another minute, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and then we'll kind of get started. I do want to let you all know I am recording, And I'll kind of do the bookends. I have no special skill or talent, so all I can do is trim the beginnings and the ends. but then we'll be able to share the meat, which is you amazing contributing authors that are sharing about your change agents. So really excited to hear. Okay, so let me go ahead and share the screen here. And I'm assuming that you can see the page that we've been using for, thank you very much, Stephanie, that we've been using. And so let's just go ahead. Thank you. Let's go ahead and get started, because I don't want to take any time away from all the wonderful stories and having some really rich discussion. So again, I am Patty Goodman Hayward. I'm one of the co-editors, and I have one of my other colleagues, Har Raymond, who is here with joining me. Our third is Zaray Yan, and she had a huge session in China yesterday. In fact, as Miki knows, it's early in the Asian, and so it's middle of the night for her. So she's not joining us today, but the three of us are so thrilled to have you all here and to be able to share about the book that we have that's coming out, Women Community Leaders and Their Impact as Global Change Makers. And we'll start out with, we've already done a few introductions. I see we have a couple of folks that recently joined, so I'd love to hear from you in just a moment. Then I'll give a brief background about the book, and then we'll dive right into the book reading excerpts about our three spotlight change agents for today. Then ideally, we'll have time for open discussion, but we also can build in open discussion during the change agents. And then we'll have that call to action, which is trying to get the book to be purchased at all libraries, both institutions and public libraries, so it's accessible to the public. And then, of course, closing thoughts. So I know we didn't get a chance. I mentioned Ed, that you're here, and I know that Sue mentioned that Carolyn's here, but we'd love to hear a little bit from both of you. And then I also see Michael and Megan. So Ed, go ahead.
Sure. Hi, everyone. My name is Ed Powers, and I am a colleague of Patty's at Northeastern. I'm a faculty member who teaches in the Master of Science in Corporate and Organizational Communication program. And my special area of focus is in the public relations sector. So nice to be with you all.
Thank you. And Carolyn, yes.
I didn't know I'd be on the spot. I just luckily saw Sue's posting on LinkedIn and I was available. I work in the realm of intercultural training, preparing people to work internationally, and specifically my focus is now language coaching. And I think that's about it. Sue and I we go way, way, way back in the intercultural world.
Yes, we do. It's a pleasure.
So glad you're here. And Megan Steinberg, one of our editorial advisory board members, thank you so much for all the work that you have done with us since last year. If you would share a little bit about yourself.
Sure. No, thanks for having me. And the whole experience has been really wonderful. So thank you for letting me be a part of it. Megan Steinberg, I am founder of Steinberg HR, which is a small boutique women-owned human resources firm. And so we support small to mid-sized organizations, all different industries across the board, and it's awesome. So that's me.
Thank you for introducing yourself. And Michael, would you be able to introduce yourself?
Hi, hello everyone. My name is Michael Edinam. I'm from Ghana. I'm here to support Lily Botsyoe. She's a very good friend of mine. So I'm here to check out what's going on and be part of it. Thanks.
Thank you so much. So glad that you're here. And Felicia, I don't know if you would be willing to introduce yourself.
Oh, hello everyone. I just joined to listen. I'm also supporting Lily. from
Great.
Ghana. Yeah.
Wonderful. We're so glad that you're here. And thinking about those that you're supporting, let me introduce our main events folks. So Miki, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
All right, thank you very much. My name is Miki Yamashita. I'm a professor of faculty global study at Reitaku University in Chiba, Japan. My specialty is intercultural communication and higher education. Thank you so much for having me today.
Thank you. It's been so lovely to see you on several of the sessions, and thank you so much for your contributions and your passion. And Sue, my newfound friend.
Yes, hello. Good morning, good evening, and very early morning for Miki. And I don't know if the friends of us are joining from Ghana, but also whatever time of day, late at night it is for you. Thank you for being here. So Sue Shinomiya, and I, as Carolyn does, I do intercultural, I call myself an interculturalist. And I also feature in inclusive leadership, as well as coaching and writing and many things to bridge differences across the world, as well as within cultures and within countries. And I'm very happy to be here and to have written with Miki Yamashita about our hero, which we will talk about her in a moment.
Wonderful, thank you. And Lily, would you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. My name is Lily Edinam, originally from Ghana, currently in the US, a student at the University of Cincinnati and an adjunct instructor. Excited for this opportunity to write about somebody who was really poured into my journey and has enabled me to be able to do all that I do now. I'm excited to share in a bit.
Thank you so much. And we really value each of these stories are so unique. And Stephanie, if you'll share about yourself.
Yeah, so hi everybody, my name is Stephanie Raible. I'm an assistant professor of social entrepreneurship at University of Delaware, and I am just so excited to be part of this group, and I think we all bring different lenses into the picture, and so I'm bringing the social entrepreneurship lens into the picture.
Thank you so much. And so let me give a little bit of background on how this whole project came about. So Sahar, Zaray, and I started doing got together to do a conference back in 2019, and we were really focusing on 3 unique transformational leaders that we connected with. And one is Sheryl Sandberg. I'm sure many of you might know from the United States, leader as part of Facebook, and then Malala from Pakistan, who has made a huge stand related to education. And Dr. Kieran Martin may be not quite a global information about her, but she's done made a huge impact with public health in New Delhi related to the slums. And so what we were first looking at these 3 in terms of their cases, their backgrounds, trying to understand, and we saw a lot of differences among the 3, coming from different generations, different family dynamics, their religions and their family experiences, life experiences, their education has a different level, their language was different, their ethnic cultures are different, and their networks. And so we were thinking, how can we understand more about the impact that they're making, and especially related to their cultures? So then we started converging their values and recognizing that there's similarities that actually cut across all 3 of them. One is they had very focused missions that they were passionate about. They had an impact to their community, whether it was their small local community or had a broader influence. Very much of a nurturing for community growth, looking at how they could improve and help to empower others. Leading by example, so they weren't just kind of telling others what to do, but really coming and being part of that process and using a supporting network in the midst of that, being very authentic with what their challenges were and how they moved through those barriers, and very determined to get through those barriers. And so as we were looking at the divergence and convergence, really started to explore a grounded theory. So from a qualitative social scientist perspective. And from there, I had been already kind of exploring these concepts of cultural transformation, and I put in one of those Google searches. So I was back in 2016, 2017, I was getting no hits about cultural transformation, just nothing would come through at all. And then interestingly enough, after we started doing some research, even as of last week, I saw that there were another 5 articles that were written specifically about cultural transformation. So in the last couple of years, there's been quite a lot of discussion on the social service side. And some are looking at cultural transformation as a negative, that the transformation is losing a culture. What we are looking at is how a transformational leader, in particular, a female leader, can positively create a cultural transformation. And so what we explored are these cultural norms that these individuals, these leaders are part of, and they are recognizing a challenge or something that is not right within their culture. And they really want to disrupt that. They want to improve, or they want to take away a bad. And so with that, there's this interdependent relationships, really bringing in networks and looking at resources in order to adjust and see how the culture can be more equitable or be able to grow with what is happening on a global scale. And then we come up with, you have more of a grounded, you have a common value within that culture that is identifying and seeing that value. And at that point, we're calling that is the cultural transformation, that movement has been able to be made. And so this is part of what our book is. So we have the research that we started with the 3, and then we decided, we really need to gather other stories so that we can test this grounded theory. So we reached out, we did a call for contributing authors. So we have 5 folks here, because Paola also has written a wonderful chapter about her work. And we also reached out for editorial advisory board members as Megan. We had 11 altogether, and just the community that grew with these individuals. We had over 70 chapters that came in. Out of the 70, we narrowed into 60 that are part of the data analysis piece that we're using for the analysis for the grounded theory. And from there, we have 58 that will actually be published in the book itself. And so each chapter, in order to have the analysis to cut across, we needed a framework that we could easily pull values through and understand the different stories. So we used this particular framework where each individual would set the scene, then they would share a cultural development values about the change agent. They'd look at one situation. Many of our change agents have lots of things that they're doing, but we really wanted, and we needed for this purpose, to narrow in and just tell us about one thing. So that was that one climax of, a challenge, a barrier, something that they were looking to innovate. The falling action is kind of what they did, how they educated, how they put something in place. And then the resolution is, what is it that's continuing to happen for that community, showing a great deal of resilience, that it's not just a fix. And in none of these stories is there something where you can just turn the key and it's fixed. It's every single one. It's something that really is an ongoing learning experience where the community is involved. And so with that, we are able to cut across 28 different countries. We're just absolutely thrilled with the number of stories that came in from around the world. And we literally have a wide range of cultures that we have an opportunity to have a little glimpse in understanding their community. And through these narratives this week. We've been doing sessions because it's been International Women's Day. I think it was on Tuesday. For me, yeah, we've been doing it all week long. So I think of it as every day. But we've had a session, we had the launch on Monday, and then we had a session with India and with Pakistan and China and South America yesterday. And today we're doing a little bit of crossover. So today we have social change and tomorrow will be across industries. And it's just been, these are a few out of all of our stories, and we're hoping to have more when the book is actually available in April, and we'll share and go through the process again. But it's been so fabulous to get to have these virtual connections with folks building our community. So let's get right into our stories. So we have 3 change agents that we're going to be hearing about today, and Naomi Osaka is our first, and then Regina Honi is the second, and last is Sakia Bruston. I even asked Stephanie, I think I totally messed it up anyway, but we're very excited to hear from each of you sharing about your change agent and giving us a little bit about the story. So let me dive into our first. Naomi.
Okay.
So feel free, Miki.
All
and
right.
Sue.
Thank you so much, Patty, again. Sue and I are so appreciate to be a contributor to this book. So let us start. So both of us share both Japanese and then US culture, and then have lived, worked, and then studied in both countries for many years. We have also both been involved in corporate intercultural facilitation and then training, as well as in higher education. In particular, we have a passion for women's leadership development, as well as multicultural, transformational, and then inclusive education. Naomi Osaka, a multicultural, biracial, global citizen herself, is bringing her genuinely inspirational voice to the world as a new kind of leader, even while she has reigned as a world champion and an Olympic tennis player. So Sue, you know more about tennis. Let me turn it over to you, Sue.
Thank you so much, Professor Yamashita, or Miki, as I like to say. It is my great pleasure to have worked and built this chapter with Miki on one of my favorite heroes. And you need a little background about me. Shinomiya, yes, that's a Japanese name. That's through my marriage. I'm married to a Japanese national. We have a binational, bicultural, biracial son, and both of them are avid tennis players. So we're in a tennis family. So it was so exciting for me to get to write this chapter about one of my heroes, Naomi. I remember the first time I saw her play on a court when she was a teenager, and she's this tall, imposing, gorgeous, big-haired, very strong, fierce, fearless player. And then she steps up to the mic. This is the first time she had won at a Open. It was the Indian Wells, which she happens to be playing in today. And she steps up to the mic and with this little tiny high voice, this is going to be the worst speech you'll ever hear. Something very modest. And what struck me is, oh my goodness, she truly is a Japanese teenager, but she's so strong and fierce on the court. And I understood that there's this kind of dichotomy there, but I really wanted to follow her career. And of course, it's no surprise to me, but she became this the first Asian player to reach #1 in the world, male or female. And she also became one of the highest paid, not just highest paid women sports people, but one of the highest paid sport people in the world, and has become this leader with brands and kind of on social media, as well as falling into, I should say, this unlikely leadership role that she has taken in such causes as due to her multiracial and multicultural identity, also due to her her desire to call to the attention to social justice matters, as well as Black Lives Matters, and also for herself in her own journey towards focusing on wellness and mental health, the whole "it's okay to not be okay" movement. She was the one who lit the Olympic torch in Tokyo 2020, which happened in Tokyo in 2021. And she continues to be a formidable presence both on the court and as well as off the court in social media. So I want to turn back over to Miki, who's going to read about her journey to becoming the star that she was, her background. Go ahead, Miki.
All right, thank you, Sue. So Naomi Osaka, her unique heroine's journey began even before she was born, when her Japanese mother, defining the wishes of her parents, chose to marry a Haitian man, the love of her life, at the time when traditional Japanese society frowned upon such a union. When Naomi Osaka was 3, the family moved to New York in hopes of a better life. Before she was old enough to remember, she had already embraced 3 cultures and many races. So Sue, continue telling about her tennis career.
Sure, and thank you for that. Her background is really important to who she is. I think that's what has struck me about her is people ask her, "What are you?" And she says, "I am me. I don't think about whether I'm Haitian or Japanese or American or a tennis player or whatever. I'm just who I am." And that authenticity, again, is something that's unusual among many arrogant sports players. So she continued into her winning, and she was, became the #1 player, and she saw what was going on in Black Lives Matter and the social justice movement, and she looked at that and said, I can see what the basketball players are doing and what the football players are doing. They have a team. I've just got me. I'm a singles tennis player. What can I do? I need to find my own path, my own lane, as she called it. And what she decided to do was just simply to tell the people at the US Open, look, I'm going to boycott the first game. That's my stand. And in solidarity, they said, well, we're all going to boycott the first match. This is during the middle of the pandemic, and things are dicey anyway. And so they just decided to make that step. And then she came out onto the court every day wearing a different mask representing the name of a different Black American who was killed by police brutality. Again, drawing great attention to that cause without saying anything, without even taking a step. And afterwards, when the media was asking her, so what was the message that you wanted to send? And without missing a beat, she called back to them, well, what was the message that you got? And again, her idea was to start that discussion, to make things go, to have people have that important discussion. So I'd like to turn it back over to Miki and to talk a little bit about her when she was in the French Open. And the first thing I'll just give a little background, is she decided that she didn't want to have the post-press interview, because you remember that disaster with the speech at one time, but she didn't, that caused her too much stress. So she said, I will pay the $15,000 fee to avoid the post-match interview. And then what happened, Miki?
All right, thanks, Sue. So Naomi Osaka calls further shock waves by leaving the tournament entirely, explaining on Twitter that she needed to exercise her self-care. And then she said, I never wanted to be a distraction. Many argued she should have toughed it up and stayed in the fight. Nevertheless, by showing her vulnerability, she came across as stronger than ever, triggering a much bigger debate about athletes' mental health. Soon after came Time Magazine's bombshell cover story, Naomi Osaka, it's okay not to be okay.
Yes, thank you. It's okay not to be okay. Really important words. And because she decided to be vulnerable and show that, it gave an opening for Simone Biles, the famous gymnast, to come out and say, look, I'm having the bends. I'm not going to compete in the Olympics. And Michael Phelps, who admitted to his own struggles with kind of his mental state. And I think that it was at the right time in the middle of the pandemic, when so many people were suffering from mental illnesses and struggles. And it kind of calmed everything down in a sense. And she didn't really intend to be a global change maker, but that's how it ended up. And Miki and I, as we were discussing this, Miki, you felt that she was exhibiting what we call personal leadership, which is a whole discipline. But tell us a little bit about Naomi Osaka as a personal leadership icon.
Okay, well, so Naomi Osaka, her approach was many parallel with the concept of personal leadership, which provides people with the framework for living purposefully, and then with authenticity, focusing on here and now, on process rather than the outcome when interacting with others. So the personal leadership is a term introduced by Shetty, Ramsey, and Watanabe. When something challenging happens, we could make a big mistake if we let our emotion take over and use our usual way making decisions. So she is practicing personal leadership by bringing forth what's right for the particular moment and the connection with joy and inspiration. She was true to herself and authentic.
Right. So, yeah, go ahead, Miki.
No, okay. So, Sue, well, after we are hoping that after reading this chapter, we would like people consider some of the next questions. And then let me ask Sue the first question. Athletes are considered heroes. Should athletes take a leadership role in social issue? What do you think?
That's such a good question, and I'll answer it in brief because I know our time is short, but that if it's a cause that is near and dear and actually personal to that sports person, it makes a lot of sense. And for Naomi Osaka, my identity across cultures, across races, to talk about Black Lives Matter. She's a Black woman, her wellness issues. And so she could talk about it authentically, but as a sports person, she has this incredible platform, 1.2 million followers. So people are watching her and what she does. And maybe it could, especially with the mental wellness, it could save a life somewhere if somebody sees, okay, there are resources, there's another path I can take. I don't have to beat myself up and strive and struggle. So yes, I think it can be used very effectively by many athletes.
Thank you, Sue.
And then I wanted to ask you, Miki, as a Japanese person, especially, but Naomi Osaka, she kind of blends between two cultures, two races in her identity. She plays for Japan. How does that make you feel, her multicultural, multiracial identity?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. Well, generally speaking, people in Japan do not immediately assume she's Japanese because she doesn't look Asian and her Japanese is not fluent. And then be confused if they know that she's Japanese. But for me, I feel inspired because Osaka can bring different and then many fresh perspectives on identity issues to Japanese society.
Yeah.
So it's almost time, but there is a last question that can I ask one question, or should I just?
Do you mind? Well, I was gonna say, yeah. Do you mind if we pull it in for the open discussion? Would that be good?
All right.
Sure. We will ask that question in the open discussion. It's for everybody anyway. So
that's right.
Global change maker Naomi Osaka, thank you. Let's go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
That sounds great. Thank you. So I'm hoping that you can see the screen again. All right. Thank you very much. So let's and we really appreciate the discussion that you had about Noma. And let's move, Lily, if you would like to share about Regina.
Absolutely. Hi, everyone. Just one moment. Let me position myself properly, if you can see me.
Yes, we see. Well, now we don't, but.
Okay, sure.
Now we do.
Hi, everyone. That's fine. So I'm just happy to share about somebody, like I mentioned earlier, who has been a big part of my journey. And from what we know, research has shown a very underrepresentation of women in IT fields. And this has one of the reasons for this has been lack of role models or mentors in the space, which makes the idea not seem so viable for people. Regina is one of the persons who's trying to break that bias, trying to break that stereotype and trying to make the field look very attractive for everybody, regardless of your abilities or disabilities. So she originally is from Ghana, just like me, and she works in Accra, Ghana. She's a first female leader in IT, and then she's creating opportunity for girls and women in IT. So think about all the things that exist as barriers for people entering into the space, and Regina is somebody who literally bridges this gap. How she does this is by merging or giving the opportunity for people to find opportunities and also build the skills that you need to be able to excel at these opportunities. On the other hand, she's also very keen on matching people and skills and talents to the market. So I'm going to start with Regina's story and how she began this journey of helping women find themselves in the field that is most times seen as for only males, or probably where they don't get a chance to play so well inside in a field like that, especially because of issues from cultures, issues around when it comes to mentoring and all those. So Regina originally started her journey as somebody who was excited about the sciences, and her family was a supportive one. So from her childhood, you're able to see her growing in a family that allows her to explore and speak with her brothers about things around IT and to play on their computers and everything. But over the years, she stayed very bullish on this vision that she had, and began to explore diverse programs to empower women in IT because of her experience as also somebody starting in the field. And it will interest you to know how the story has evolved from somebody who was struggling to somebody who's now a force, a powerhouse, connecting young people to opportunities in the space. So I'm going to take you on the journey of how it all began, and then I'll leave some of the story for you to explore in the book once you get a copy. So that is a call for everyone to get the book. Also gets gifted to others, get your friends to also read it. There are women doing awesome stuff out there, and it is good that we celebrate them and their stories and have them also as models for people that are coming after them. I was glad to have a close contact with her, and now even through books, we're able to mentor. So let's call it a book-based approach to mentorship. So Regina was born quite shy, and she was a reserved girl, but she stumbled on technology as a child while playing in her home with her brothers and everything, and she always questioned things. So in situations where she wanted to do stuff, she had some of her friends tell her, "Oh, this is for only males. Maybe you can do it, or probably don't explore this now." And she wanted to really do computer science, so she went to Ashesi to do computer science in Ghana. But in class, she was restricted to a lot of things. And she was told that African women probably aren't cut out for that kind of role. But she stood her ground and was able to excel in her courses. Some of the things that she did in her class sometimes seemed far-fetched, and she took to internships to be able to perfect her skills and to be able to build skills also on the ground. That is when it comes to the practical aspects of her education. So owing to her perception that leadership can be consciously developed, she shares she had no entrepreneurial pursuits. This is somebody who has moved from just being a tech person to somebody who's a techpreneur. That means somebody who is working in the tech space and is able to excel at it and is creating a business out of it. So she shares that she originally wasn't somebody who thought of entrepreneurship, but she sort of stumbled on it because of her need to grow the space she was in when it comes to knowledge and skill building, and to be able to get people to get people into jobs with their partners and all those. So very few people at the time when she finished or graduated from her school worked in places that she worked in. And one of these places like a bank, and in the bank, she was not just a teller or anything, she was in the IT team of this bank, and obviously the only female. And in there, she would have her voice on issues and speak closely on issues. But sometimes the young men wouldn't agree to what she says. And then they re-echo what she has said earlier on, and they get the credit. So something that she said, they debunk it at first, they go on to re-echo it, and they get the credit for it. And she just says, that's what I literally said, right? But she was not given that voice to be able to express herself and to be able to be her authentic self while at this role. But she threatened to leave one time, and owing to the fact that they knew her abilities or the value she was adding to the team, they gave her, because she had asked, they gave her a pay raise, and she was able to stand her ground to be able to defend it, and she got it. So she stayed for a while, but it didn't take too long before she left. Now, when she was leaving, she told her boss about it. She said she wanted to start something on her own. The boss thought about it and told her, maybe you can work here for some time. In your 50s, you can start what you want to do. Usually that's what people do, right? But she said she had nursed this idea for so long because she wanted to see a change from what she had experienced as a female in tech. And she wanted to see a space that was open for all, and that allows people to be their authentic selves and to go on a journey where they are passionate about. So Regina said, okay, I can think about it. She thought about it for a short while, but she left the company. She didn't leave to be an entrepreneur, but she left to another company, which was paying more and allowed her to, in addition to the work she does, also put to bear her social skills and to be able to bring people for mentoring programs and everything. But she didn't stay so long there. And then she left to start her own company. Her resignation at that time was a shock. But she said it was something that she had thought of. It was not new. And she wanted to go on and chase her dreams. So Regina mentions the important role her family played in her journey and recounts a debate with her brother on whether there were people in televisions or behind them. So this is the curious Regina, looking to see what is beyond what she sees on the screens. So she's in a debate and asking, are people inside the television or behind it? So this led to her to her and her brother opening up the television at home so that they could explore together. And they got the answers, but they also got a beaten. And that is how curious she was, right? Even as a child. This is her recounting where she has been and how she sought knowledge and where she currently was as a person who wanted to give people the opportunity to feel forward and to be able to express themselves when it comes to the practical side of the things they're learning, especially because resource is also one of the reasons why many females are unable to thrive in the field. So though they were scolded, it taught her to probe and go beyond questions and to take things apart and re-examine to avoid taking things at just face value. So inclusion and diversity, which is a very important part of her work, is one of the things I want to highlight or hear out about her story. So this is a main focus on her work, and then in the space of diversity, and especially people living with disabilities, and she wants to create meaningful participation for this set of people. And the organization has partnered many others to run projects that train women in digital skills training, and as well as training for hearing impaired and autistic children. She's even taught people how to code using sign language, which is very beautiful. So people code or sign their code, and others are able to understand it. They learn HTML in code language, and they're able to show you how they're able to code what it is that they're trying to show you. Some examples of her training programs exist in Ghana, and some have been replicated in other regions or countries, especially on the African continent. And right now her work is across countries in West Africa, but with the opportunity to also extend, because she's always partnering people and organizations in different places to be able to take this forward when it comes to training people in the space. So an important part of Regina's work is how she brings people up for mentoring, especially even those that are not already professional, but people who are peers. So she's also very staunch believer of peer-to-peer mentoring. So from time to time, there's the Soronko, I think she has now Soronko alumni, people who've been under her training would also give back to society, would train people. And there are pages that she leads on Facebook and other places where she shares opportunities from time to time. So she should have an opportunity presented, and then she would prepare people to be able to access those opportunities. I do not want to give all the story, but let's think about Regina's story as somebody who has been very bullish on her vision of becoming a female leader in tech and has stayed flexible on execution because of how she had to evolve over time to grow into the space that she wanted to be in. It took her working in banks. It took her working in teams she was not too happy about. It took her standing her grounds. It took her fighting for an increase in her salary because she knew she was worthy of it and had worked for it. It took her going out there and training people, even in slum areas in Ghana. My first encounter of her was hearing her train girls 8 to about 15 how to code in slum areas in Ghana. One of the places was Nima, which if you read about it, is notorious for many things, but she's taking girls from there. And because of training, they've been able to match up with other people with skills across the world and are doing awesome in universities. So to get more about Regina and her work, this is a call for you to grab a copy of the book once it's out and to be able to also pass it on to others to be an inspiration to them. I hope this was helpful and I'm able to answer any questions.
Thank you so much, Lily. You really have enlightened all of us in wanting to learn more about Regina. Really appreciate that. And so I'm going to give another scene that we can go and spotlight our next change agent. So Stephanie, would you share about Jessica?
Yes. So hi, everybody. I don't know if I can leave on such an eloquent cliffhanger as Lily, but I'll try. So the co-founder and CEO of Eunice Social Business is Saskia Brewston. And so if that name Eunice sounds familiar, it's from Muhammad Yunus, who was in 2006 a Nobel Peace Prize winner. And so she is the co-founder and CEO of Eunice Social Business, affiliated and co-founded with Muhammad Yunus. And so I selected Saskia's story in part because I work with university students, and oftentimes I work with people that are very idealistic and they want to, through their university studies, become change agents themselves. And so often, because now I've been teaching for nearly a decade, you see students years and years out come away sometimes wondering if they are on the right path. And I feel like this story is a good connection point to that, because well, Saskia actually didn't intend to become one of the world's most prominent advocates for social business. She had this international orientation growing up. So she had a German father and a Canadian mother, and was able to experience living both in Germany and North America during her childhood. Furthermore, she was also an athlete. So we're kind of picking up on the athletic side of things. And if you have never Googled equestrian vaulting, that was her sport during her teenage years, so equestrian vaulting. And that really helped her balance. And she actually attributes that athletic prowess to be able to have calculated risk taking and to work within a team. So these two factors she really attributes to her entrepreneurial founder self in future years. So when she graduated from her bachelor's program, she started working for a consulting group called Boston Consulting Group in Germany, and later worked in the US. And she decided to move to London to do a master's program at LSE in international relations. So while she was there, she didn't realize that she would actually pivot her career into the world of social business. She had no idea that social business existed. And which she defines that term as a company that is 100% focused on solving a social or environmental problem, but doing so financially self-sustainably. So coming from the business world, and she was a consultant before her master's program, she ended up just happening to be at LSE and going to a life-changing talk. So she happened to sit in on a talk that was actually by Nobel Peace Prize laureate Professor Muhammad Yunus. And after the talk, she got the ability to kind of run up to him afterwards. And she said, I was really inspired by your talk. I don't know what to do with all these thoughts that I'm having, but I need to stay connected to you. And so she just on a whim happened to get his business card, took it in, sent him an email, and she didn't realize, but at that moment her life would change and her trajectory would go forward to become one of the most prominent people in this field of social business that she had just learned about. So she took a risk, and she decided instead of being in Europe, how she had for years and years, she decided to move out and followed Muhammad Yunus to work in his Grameen Creative Lab. And then after that point, she became a director and then a co-CEO. So she moved up very quickly. And years later, so this was in 2011, she ended up, along with Yunus himself and another colleague, Sophie Eisman, to co-found Yunus Social Business, which is a philanthropic venture fund that actually helps to advance education, employment, health, environmental conditions, and more in making social investments globally. So they work in countries that are developing country contexts. So even though she's centered in Germany at this point, after moving back to Berlin and helping to found Yunus Social Business, their social businesses that they work with are in various countries that are in developing country contexts. So she found herself inadvertently having to advocate for social business. It wasn't just her who had no idea what this field was. So she, after all of these years, realized that a lot of her role as an accidental advocate was teaching people what social business was and that it was possible. So she even commented that when she first started Yunus Social Business, that a lot of people didn't know that business and social could even go together. She said, oftentimes she got a lot of reluctance when she would try to tell people that no, you can actually do social good and do so in a financially sustainable way, because it was just a foreign concept to how we've had the system of having more charity work and the business sector not having any common interests and intersection. So she's been one of these advocates that has helped to flesh out this middle ground in between the two, that has really helped to build a robust advocacy, not just in the countries that they work with in unisocial business, but globally. So it's interesting that as they were growing unisocial business and working on a portfolio of getting different social entrepreneurs in international countries to work with and helping to fund them and to kind of intervene to make sure that they were able to build up their local economies, she thought that that was the good work that unisocial business would be doing. She then found herself years later in the COVID environment. Now, if spoiler alert, I don't think I'm giving news to anybody here, but COVID was especially hard on entrepreneurs globally. We saw a lot of businesses close. And if you can only imagine in a resource-strapped environment of a developing country context with a lot of women-owned businesses, with a lot of more vulnerable populations that they were working with, it was incredibly hard to keep things afloat. So Saskia kind of found herself at an intersection of having this advocacy hat, having such a big social network of being able to have other change agents globally and being able to tap into high, let's say, resources globally on behalf of these change agents that unisocial business worked with. So perhaps the spoiler I'll leave on is the chapter kind of continues on this story and allows us to see how did Saskia navigate COVID when you're working with people internationally, you can't travel. How do you get resources to the people that need resources? How do you get funding to people that need funding? And people are all around the world, and banks, as much as we see them as automated during COVID, there's no one behind the scenes to help you get the funds to other people. And how did she raise any money? Did she raise any money? So yes, the chapter kind of follows along in that story. But kind of the rationale for her story in this picture is to see that as a change agent, she was able to kind of find her footing. And just like a lot of the change agents that we featured here today, we as women often maybe frame ourselves as accidental leaders, accidental people that are in the spotlight, accidental change agents, but a lot of these women are just very inspirational and humble in all that they've been able to accomplish and the traction that they've been able to have. So Saskia definitely embodies that as well.
Thank you so much. And you all have left us on these cliffhangers. I want to go back and read the chapters. so thank you so much for that. And it is amazing what these women have done in relatively a short period of time, if you think about the impacts that they have made and some of what they're going through. We do have also a short period of time left for our session, but I'd love, Sue had earlier mentioned she had a question that I thought, if you don't mind bringing that up and let's kind of go through that. And then I do have just a little bit more to share about the grounded theory, the preliminary findings, and the close. So Sue?
Thank you so much, Patty. And wow, Stephanie and Lily, I'm really excited to read about your heroes. And I think that interestingly common thread of how these women managed to come to the forefront as accidental leaders, accidental entrepreneurs during a pandemic when some people really did shut down. And Miki and I were discussing this idea of going on hiatus, but not really going on hiatus. And I'm, if I can kick off the questioning about what is it about the pandemic that maybe had an opportunity for these women, or was it just who they were and they would have gotten through it anyway? Lily, if you have something you want to say about that. Is Lily still there?
I got a part of the question, but I think you were mentioning the how people chanced on or chanced upon the pandemic and how they turned around what the situation presented to be able to still continue on the entrepreneurial journeys, right? So for me, I really think that the pandemic brought to bear two things, especially from especially from sub-Saharan Africa, or the sub-region where I come from. We're able to see that there was a widening gap between the people who were connected and people who were disconnected. And we also saw that there was a need to be able to connect people. So in the pandemic, for a tech entrepreneur like Regina, what she did was to try to move or transfer, or essentially pivot her work from the offline space to online. So during the pandemic, she had to be innovative in addition to all that she's been doing over the years, which included having trainers connect from their homes, set up sessions online, mentoring online, set up trainings online for different age groups. She has trainings even for children, right? And it shows us one point. It shows us a point which I think is it cuts across all the change makers we've spoken about, which is a need and a solution to it. So there was a need for something, and then out of what they know or things they've experienced, they're able to meet that need. So here we were with the issue of people not being able to connect, and as an entrepreneur, she had to ride on the resources she had. So there was now innovation, and there was now moving things from online. From offline to online, but making it look like an extension of the offline world. And these are people who are very innovative and passionate. It takes passion to a large extent, because once you encounter a header like a pandemic, probably all that you've done in the past will probably come crashing down, because you don't know how to go about it. But the passion to create change, and the change that fuels this, the change that fuels others, or causes ripple effects in other places, is what we see cutting across all these females. That they've experienced the journey, they've reached a point where they're able to give back or present an outline for people to follow. And so they're excited to go on to make the change go to the highest of heights. So for me, if that is an answer to the question, and if I got this right, else you can polish it up for me, that we see that passion, that innovation, that zeal to create change play out for people who have once been in a certain position and now see the need, because they are in another place, to be able to give back to people who are also starting off in their journeys. Essentially, that's what comes off for me across the stories.
Thank you so much. And it's so important to recognize how these really shocking situations, I guess we could call it, disasters that happen on a global scale, do impact areas in different ways. And I know, Sydney, you've joined us. Thank you so much for joining. And it's good to see you. And Paolo, I know you had in the village that you were working in there in Italy, you had some major impacts that you've made. I don't know if you'd like to share a little bit about yours?
Yes, well, thank you. We landed in a village in a very impoverished part of southern Italy. That was not too long ago, and about 12 years ago. But what we found was a very fractured social fabric, where everyone was, in conflict with one another, and there were no cohesiveness in this very little village. They needed something from the outside, and this was an injection of international scientists and creative minds from all fields that came year after year and made the villagers realize that the village had some dormant resources that just needed to be reactivated. Everybody gathered to host this event, and now the energy of the place is fabulous. The cooperation among all segments of this small ecosystem are working in harmony and with a common purpose. So this was really beautiful to see evolve and develop. It didn't take a short time. It took for us 12 years to witness, but definitely this village that was dying now got a second chance at life, and they are exploiting it to the fullest.
That's fantastic. And thank goodness that you brought that science knowledge in And then here comes COVID, and we're all needing to shift to this scientific mindset, technology.
Yeah.
Thank you. And Stephanie, I see your hand up. Would you like to share?
Yeah, I keep thinking how inspiring it is to see women at all different levels that are able to really help us thrive through COVID. And so going back to Saskia's story, the one thing I didn't contextualize is that the portfolio of social businesses that she was working with created 50 social businesses that created higher income for 50,000 people. And it served over 13 million people in these countries. So I think what a lot of these women have is a sense of responsibility to the people that they're serving, whether it's a community that they're a part of, or whether it's understanding that they have a global breath under them. And so I think the theme that I keep seeing as being very prominent is a sense of responsibility to the people that they serve.
Thank you so much. And you're giving me a perfect opening to share what the findings were that we've preliminarily came through in our coding. So we've done 2 levels of coding from the grounded theory across all of the chapters that we've been reviewing, and looking at both the content, the attitudes, the values. And what we are seeing here are the largest that comes out of over 400 values out of all of the chapters that we have analyzed. And I'm sure some of these words are not shocking to you. So you see the big area is advocate. Then it looks, we're focusing in on networking, and really we're seeing that women, transformational leaders, do recognize the need to not go on it their own, but really pulling in others. So having a vision, being aware of what these needs are, being authentic, which several of you had mentioned several times today, having empathy for themselves and for others in order to make these things happen. People focus. So you can see, we can go on and on, but we're really excited to be able to formulate this into a framework and a taxonomy that we're going to be sharing in the book. And that leads me to this last call to action. We're trying to make sure that we can get the book into all of the libraries. We'd love to see them at institutions around the world. Making them available to villages. We're looking at publishing in different languages. We definitely are looking at Chinese, and we're also exploring other languages that areas feel that this book would be of value in that section. IGI Global has a number of affiliates around the world, so they're working with us on that also. The other promise that IGI has made to us is that they have priced the book based off of a textbook, which is much higher than an everyday what you would anticipate. And so they will be providing, and I can put this in the chat box, but you'll see, please join our social media groups, because we'll be providing more information about how to put in the order. But public libraries and institutions can email IGI, and she said she will work with you on prices, on what is available within that region, that area. There's ebooks with licenses. Northeastern University has already put in an order for the ebook so that they'll have licenses for any students that are associated to Northeastern to have access to the entire book. Each contributing author will receive an ebook, so you'll have access to the entire book. And then the other thing I wanted to make sure that I share is Sahar Zareh and I had all from the very beginning had said any funds that come through will go back into the book. So the idea of social enterprise, a social business, it comes back through. So we have the listing of our change agents, nonprofits, and after our expenses, we have copy editing expenses, but after our expenses are done, all of the funds will then start going down to each of the nonprofits based on each of the change agents. So our goal is that we want to be able to provide donations to every single NGO and nonprofit that's part of the book. We're right at our hour time, but if there's any questions, please feel free to email. I don't know if you have anything that that someone is wanting, kind of dying to share?
I have a question. So
April, go ahead.
I'm so sorry if it's loud. Are we emailing Emma to help get the books into the libraries, or are we emailing the library to email Emma? Like, can you tell more about the process?
That's a great question. So once the published date is April 2022, so next month, and we'll be able to give out flyers. So I'm hoping that you are part of our group either in LinkedIn or on Facebook, and we'll be providing that. But you can give the website, this information to your librarian, and then the librarian would reach IGI Global and they would negotiate the pricing. Thank you for asking.
Yeah,
thank you. All right. Well, I just want to again thank you all so much for taking the time to be here. Thank you for sharing these amazing stories, and think about all of the people who now, they have that extra vision, that extra inspiration that they can move forward to and think about their personal leadership, their authentic leadership, and transforming their culture. Thank you all so much. We have one more session tomorrow. Don't miss out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. This was very wonderful.
Good. I'm so glad. Thank you for taking the time to join.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Bye-bye. Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You both did a
Patty.
fantastic. Thank you.
Yes, great. Yes, was a wonderful session. And then, that I'm interested in using a grounded theory, learn about the women's leadership in a different context, and then how context contribute women's leadership, and then how they navigate in the context. So I'm just interested in the part. So yeah, please.
Oh, good. Yes. Well, so one more month, and you'll have a framework and a taxonomy and everything that you can use. So that'd be fantastic.
Yes. Thank you, Sue.
Thank you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Maybe take a little rest.
Yeah, right. Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.